Hold on a sec. I was trying to print something out that I wanted to share with you guys, but I don't know, my printer's causing me some issues. It is Sunday morning once again. We are here live, ready to answer your questions, and I did want to talk about the topic of blame. Have you ever blamed somebody for what you're going through in life, and you were totally convinced that you were in the right and it was their fault? That's what we're going to talk about today. Good morning, Vias. Good morning, Nana. Hey, Lucas. Jacqueline's here. Nice to see you guys. Oh, Jennifer's here. Hello. So, you know, you guys are going to have whatever questions you have for me, but that's the topic I was thinking about talking about today. It came to me yesterday. I was trying to decide what topic we should talk about today. Hey, Toxic. Hey, Brittany. And I had a couple in mind. One was about finding your purpose. And, oh, Riley, I hope you get better. Sahara's here. Little Reindeer Bean is here. Anandit is here. Tamara. Thank you. There's someone that said I love you, but I don't know what your name is. Eddie Lee's. So, yeah, that's going to be the topic today. The other topic I was thinking about doing, and maybe we'll do for another week. Hey, Stan. Hey, Ara. Hey, Anna's here. Sub-Zero's here. Good morning. The other topic I was thinking about doing, TBPR17 is here. Current Jam, Polly and friends. I'm good. I'm good. Oh, thank you. Tamara says, I really love your acting. And we have another Derek here, spelled differently. Donald is here. The other topic I was thinking about talking about, which we'll probably do another time, Frank is here, is how to find your purpose. How to know what your purpose is in life. But today, thank you, Junior Batty Cat. He says, I love your acting. Little Ranger says, I love your videos. Nicholas says, what are you drinking? This is dragon fruit juice. Oh, Jennifer, I understand. My Instagram was hacked once too. It's awful. Okay, I follow you from Iraq. What is your name written in English? Because I don't understand the name it's written. We've got Jack here. Let's see. Oh, yes, Jack says, who do you blame for your lack of success? For the protesters, they will scream, Dhar Mann. Well, and I picked this topic because actually about 5 years ago, the topic of blame came to me, you know, thinking about that, but also thinking of a video I made 5 years ago on my YouTube channel. And I was in a situation where I had worked on a certain film project for years and years, and put a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort into it. And my partners in the project were not on the same page with me. I knew there were certain things we needed to do in order to have success with this project. And they were blocking it at every step. Hey, Teresa. Derek wants to know if I'm wearing heels right now. Who wants to take a poll? Who wants to guess? A little bit of a heel, but not high heels. I got my blue suede shoes on like Elvis. Yes, I do. I have had these shoes for like a million years. I do not buy leather now. Now that I'm vegan, I haven't bought leather since I've become vegan because I don't like the cows getting their skin scraped off for me to have fashion. So I actually got these at the thrift store years ago, and I suppose if I was a good vegan, I would throw all my stuff away that was leather, but I already owned it beforehand. And I don't think buying all new stuff is going to really help the planet. Just makes more things clogged up and not good for the ecosystem. Anyway, I would never buy leather now, though. So back to what I was saying. I was doing a project, Hey Jarrell, and I knew certain things needed for this project to get distribution, for it to go out into the marketplace, for this film to really take off. And Britton is here. And so I was so frustrated. I was getting so angry at my partner in this business for this certain project. And then I just started praying about it. I just started praying because I really felt that this person was blocking me from having success in my life. And I really felt God speak to me that it wasn't about that person, and that no matter what is going on in my life, or you guys in your life right now, there is no one person that can block you from success. There is no person that can make your future, your dreams, your success not happen. There is no one that can be to blame for the future that you're going to have, for the success you're going to have, for the big things you're going to do in life. No one can be blamed, because even if someone had a hand in getting you where you are now, like they had something to do with it, there's two sides to every story, right? There's two people in a dance. There's two, takes two to tango. Hey, Michael. So if you're going into a partnership with someone, you need to get everything spelled out for you. And that was one of the mistakes I made, was not having a contract that stated specifically the things that I would like to do in the contract. Now, because I didn't have one, I can't blame the other person who I now at that time, 5 years ago, that I felt was blocking me and stopping me from having success with this project, right? And so even if you feel like it's a lost cause, or it's been time or money wasted, that person was not responsible for the choices I make and for choosing to stay in that relationship, or to keep going, or to keep working with that person. And I had to realize, whatever we put out in the world comes back to us, right? Scripture says whatever we sow, that we will reap. So we're going to get back whatever we're putting out. So it's like we never have to point out someone else's failings or where they're falling short, because karma will come back and take care of them. And in the same way, what I was putting out, which was good stuff, it would come back to me. Now here's where and I talk about this in the video, Who Do We Blame for Our Success, that I put up on my YouTube 5 years ago. If I'm sowing good things, if I'm putting good things out into the world, then I'm going to get good things back. But where we seem to mess up is that we assume that if we put all this good stuff out into the world, time, money, whatever, that it's going to come back to us from the same source we put into it. So what does that mean? How does this appeal to you guys? How does this benefit you? You may think, well, I put all this time, energy, effort, money, whatever into this project. We think that is the project that's going to pay us back for our time, money, energy, And the law of sowing and reaping, the law of karma, whatever, what you put out does come back to you, but it doesn't always come back to you from the source you poured into. So if you've been like helping someone, you've been pouring into feeding the homeless, you're not necessarily going to get a return from that homeless. Even if that homeless person gets up on their feet, turns their life around, becomes they don't owe you anything, right? You were supposedly helping them out of the kindness of your heart, so you can't expect that to come back to you from that source, but it will always come back to you. Just like someone may out of the blue may sends you a birthday card with 10 or 20 bucks in it, and you maybe didn't do anything to sow into their life, but they're sowing into yours, just like you were sowing into the life of somebody that you needed. So projects that we sow into, that may not be our total source of income and success that comes back to us, but just because it doesn't mean that that person is stopping us or blocking us from the success we needed. So when I started focusing on what I could do, and here, this was a quote I saw yesterday from Maya Angelou. Do you guys know who she is? Caitlin says, Katherine, how are you? Your videos help me a lot. Thank you. Maya Angelou was a writer and a poet, and she even made an appearance in one of Tyler Perry's movies before she passed away. So think about this for what situation do you have going on in your life that you don't like right now? This is a quote from Maya Angelou. She said, if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. I know, that hurts. That kind of hurts a little because it puts it back on us. So back when I was doing that project several years ago, and I was getting mad and I was angry and I was blaming this person because the project wasn't taking off, because I knew there were certain things we needed to do to make it happen, but I was blaming him instead of taking responsibility for my role in it. So if you're in a situation where you don't like the situation, you don't like what's being presented to you, get out of it. Say no to it. Go somewhere else. Go somewhere where you're celebrated. Go where you're, if you know what's going to be spelled out for you, what a project's going to involve, and it's going to be a certain thing, and you say yes to it, then it's like, why are you complaining about the thing you said yes to? It was one of my favorite evangelists. He's got like 60, 70, 80 books out. I don't know, very prolific. Mike Murdoch, he has a quote that says, do not complain about what you permit. So if you're allowing this thing, whatever you're going through, to happen, then how can you complain about it when you keep saying yes to it? When you keep putting yourself in a situation that allows this thing to happen, how can you then complain about it? You know what I mean? If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. So, hold on a sec. All right, there's something a few things I printed out to share with you guys about this subject. Mark Cyrilette said, what was your favorite Dhar Mann video you're in? I made a video here on my YouTube channel called my 8 favorite Dhar Mann videos I'm in, I think. I guess I couldn't narrow it down to one. Jack is saying people need to take responsibility for their own unhappiness. Yep. Jarrell says he's going through something similar. Current Jam sending love from India. Nicholas says the one that made me cry the most, it was the More Hugs, Less Suicide. Yeah, I would have to say that was probably the favorite one I've ever done. And then I have 8 more listed on my channel. So this was interesting. I found this on, I was just kind of doing a little research this morning on blame, and I was finding some different scriptures on it. And I found this one that said, why do we blame others? We blame others as a way to self-justify, as a way to hold on to our own power and reputation at the expense of someone else's power and reputation. So when we blame others for our life, our situation, our lack of success, our lack of finances, our lack of not being further in life, whatever it is, then you are falsely, self-justifying, holding on to this sense of power and reputation at the expense of someone else. I was doing that with this film project years ago. I was like, this guy is the reason we don't have great distribution for this film. He's the reason he won't do these things that he's supposed to do, Yeah. And when we blame, what it also is is it's a tactic that we use to distract others from our failures, right? There's always, it takes two to tango. There's always, if there's an issue in a situation, there's more than one person in it, or it wouldn't be a situation. So blame is the tactic we use to distract from our failures. If you've been in a situation for a long time that you don't like, and you're still staying in that situation, can you really blame the person you're blaming if you're choosing to stay? That's just a question. That's just a question that we all need to figure out. I had to figure it out for this film project from more than 5 years ago. So when we, and here's the thing, where blame is so toxic. It's toxic because we seek to focus, we're focusing on disappointment. When we're focusing on our disappointment, when we're focusing on our outrage at someone else, then it's like, well, we're hoping, hi, unknown, saying hi, 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 hi. Then we're hoping that we don't have, that like we will escape the repercussions from our own mistakes, right? Okay, let me see. Donald said, success is what you make of it. A person who works by the sweat of his or her brow and does right by his family and friends may consider themselves a success because that's what makes them happy. Okay, Rebecca says, good topic, but no one is perfect. No one is perfect. I am the furthest from perfect. I'm maybe a little more aware of my shortcomings than I used to be, so I'm getting a step closer to being right. Super Cool said, like my pastor said, we have to see ourselves as owners instead of servants. We are owners of our life, right? We don't have to serve anybody. Let's see. Okay. Try and learn from people's happiness and success. Growth mindset is important. That's true. That's true. Lucas wants to know what's the most recent Dhar Mann video I was in. I don't remember what it's called. It might be Mother-in-Law Tries to Ruin Family Vacation. I think that might be what it is. So when we blame others, it's like, here's the thing. When we're looking outside ourselves to try to find fault, it really distracts us and makes us not look inward to like, how am I to blame for this? And now guys, take this with a grain of salt with what the specific thing we're talking about is, because if someone like committed some act of atrocity on you and beat you to a pulp and left you for dead, I'm not saying to blame yourself from that. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about right here. But there's certain situations in life, like this film project I'm talking about from years ago, where when I was distracting myself by blaming this other partner in the film, it made me avoid where I was at fault. So one thing I realized is I went into this partnership for this film not having a contract set in place that spelled out what my expectations were. And I've done this many times, and I think, oh, this person's my friend, they can't do me wrong, everything's gonna turn out fine, we won't have issues. And then sometimes what you think the expectations are that are in your head are not communicated properly. So when you go forward in a partnership, the person may have something completely different in their mind of what it's supposed to look like than you have in your mind. So if it's not spelled out on paper, I'm going through this right now with someone on another project. And unfortunately, we already started filming before we have an agreement in place. And that's what not to do. And I've done it many times. And a lot of times it leads to heartache because what the person perceives as the right and fair thing to do may not be what you think is the right and fair thing to do. Oh, thank you for the gift, Nicola. So I'm just saying but this has been going on since the beginning of time. I don't know if you guys have know anything about the Bible or have read anything about it, but since the beginning of time, the very first humans ever on earth were blaming people, right? They were blaming people. So God gave them everything. You can have every tree in this garden, every fruit. You can have it all. There's just one thing over here you can't have. Just one out of thousands or millions or who knows how many. But it's where your focus is, right? Where are you focusing? Instead of focusing on the 99.999% of everything they had in paradise, they put their focus on the one thing they couldn't have. So where is our focus? And then that made them want it. It made them greedy for it. I have to have that one thing that I can't have, right? How many kids, when their moms are like, no cookies, no cookies, no, don't take anything from the cookie jar. It's like you got a whole pantry full of snack packs and dried fruit and health bars and pantries with food, soup. You're like, all you can think about is the cookie. As you were told, do not go in the cookie jar. So Adam and Eve eat the fruit. They do it. And then what happens? God said, why did you do this, Adam? Adam immediately blames. But the woman you gave me, Eve, it was Eve's fault. You gave her to me and she did it and she convinced me to do it. And then God's kind of looking at Eve like, yo, chica, what's up here? And she's like, what? It's not my fault. It's not my fault. That snake, he convinced me. He told me to do it. And then what happens? It's like this perpetual blame game because then their kids, Cain gets jealous of his brother Abel because God accepted Abel's gift and he didn't accept Cain's gift. And then Cain kills his brother. I mean, it just gets, and then he blames like, well, I'm not my brother's keeper. How am I supposed to know where he is? And then, man, and it just keeps going. It just keeps going. Sarah couldn't get pregnant in the Bible. She's blaming herself. She's so mad at herself, I can't get pregnant. So what she does is she gives her servant to Moses, Hagar, and they have a baby together. She's like, you have a baby with my servant, and then we'll call her mine, and then it'll all be good. And, oh, Lord, then that goes downhill fast, and she's all mad that Hagar is like, I don't know, making fun of her or lording over her. I have a baby, you don't. And then Sarah's so mad. She's blaming Hagar for all her problems when she's the one that gave Hagar to Moses to begin with. So it just keeps going and going and going. I gotta see what you guys are saying. Let's see. Our cute girl is here. Jarrell says it isn't someone else's fault that you can't get what you want. That is very true. No one can stop you from getting what you want in life. Hey, 5-Star Language Club. And there may be times where maybe you don't get it as soon. Maybe they temporarily can get in the way or stop you or thwart you. But the things God has for you is for you. Nobody can take it from you, not even your supposed competition. Because there really is no competition. There is no competition because what God made for you, nobody can take from you. Oh, 5-Star from Palm Springs, your first time here. Oh, thank you. I do this every Sunday. A lot of you guys have been here with me every Sunday for the last couple of years, and we do this, and I try to answer your questions, and I usually have a topic that we can talk about that I hope is going to be helpful to people. Question, let's see. Lucas said, Katherine, that Dhar Mann video, you had a reaction to the food you ate. Yes. Super cool. It says, if you see something you want, you just go for it. Just trying to find a spouse or whatever, you go for it. Blake says, you're clearly a woman of God. Thank you. So here's the thing. Who can we blame? Who can we blame for our lack of success? really nobody but ourselves, right? And when we're trying to point out other people's flaws instead of realizing we've got our own to work on, how can I, I saw something, yes?
I'm leaving.
Bye, enjoy, be safe.
Bye.
Hubby's going to church early today. We usually go together as a family, but he's been helping with the, I don't know what it's called, this computer that puts the words up on the screen for the songs and for switching the video cuts. I don't know what that's called. So he's got to go early today. Haley Ron, thank you. Jack Smith asks, what is your denomination? When I was a really little girl, we were Lutheran. And then my parents started going to church across the street because, funny story, my brother was kind of a wild child. And he may or may not have gotten kicked out of the Lutheran church. Well, so he was going to the church across the street, which was Pentecostal, while we were still going to the Lutheran church. And then I think our family was kind of like, we know my brother Tim is very rambunctious and he's maybe got some challenges. So we realized let's not have our kid go a separate place than where we are going. So then we all switched because we needed a place where we would be accepted. And not everybody is a perfectly behaved child. And yes, Jack, you guessed right. I did name my son Timothy after my brother Tim. That is a whole story. That is a whole story about how that came to be, because I did not have a good relationship with my brother growing up. And I'm going to eventually tell that story when I write the memoir about my son Timothy that I keep saying I'm going to write for the last 15 years. And I've made some progress on the story. I've taken some courses in memoir writing, and I've written some chapters. I got like a rough outline. It's funny because the first draft of the story of my memoir about the 118 days I spent in the neonatal intensive care unit fighting for Timothy's life, first draft was actually all told through poetry. But I realized poetry is not everybody's cup of tea. So I've been trying to rewrite it and turn it into prose, which more people like and understand. Nicholas says, Katherine is an inspirational writer. 5-star language says, my name is Jane. I'm a language instructor. There is no Dhar Mann without you. Oh, you're sweet. Thank you. What languages do you teach? Okay, Lawson says you do really good acting, Katherine. Thank you. That's very sweet of you. So I was going to share with you guys, when we're talking about blame, Matthew chapter 7 says, why do you see the speck that's in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when there's a log in your own eye?
Daddy left us for church.
I know, we'll go later. We'll go together later. He had to be there early. It's okay, you don't need to feel sad about that. So it says, let me take the speck out of your eye when there's a log in your own eye. You hypocrite. First, take the log out of your eye, then you'll see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. So we don't have an excuse, when we judge others, we're also going to be judged, right? We will be judged for whatever we're judging others for. We need to practice the same things, right? I see, I see a lot of you guys are asking about the conversation I was supposed to have with Riki. So let me address that. I consider Riki a friend of mine, and I felt like we were good friends and close. I mean, as far as like coworkers on set and somebody I really cared about.
It's about these.
Oh my gosh.
Today's sponsor is about these.
Okay, no, we're not sponsored. You just want me to open that for you? Okay,
Yeah.
sweetheart.
I was doing a sponsor.
And so when this all started to happen, so we're referring to the protests that were happening a couple weeks ago at Dhar Mann. She asked to have a conversation with me, and I was like, yeah, that's fine. I would love to. I've got, nothing but love and respect for her, and I'm sorry she has had some bad experiences. I've not had those, but I was happy to talk to her. But then the day we were supposed to talk, she gave me a certain time, and I said yes, I was available. And then she switched it to another time, and I moved things around my schedule. Okay, yes, I can make myself available to that. And then there's a third time. She was on her way somewhere, had to get somewhere stable to have the conversation. I'm like, okay, yes, I can have the conversation still. And then she changed the time. I don't know if it was the third or fourth time. And then she announced it on her Instagram that we were going to talk that night, but she said it was a later time than what she had told me. And then, so everybody thought we were going to talk at that time. And then she got back to me and told me 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I said, I can't talk that late because I have to get to the pharmacy, which is in another town, to get my son's prescription before they close at 6. So I couldn't, because it had changed so much, I couldn't do it then. And then I had quite a few people let me know that she had said some things about me that weren't kind. And I thought to myself, I don't know why there was just a lot of things being said or insinuated or whatever. I don't know that I was like, well, what is this going to accomplish? What would be the purpose for the conversation? Initially, she told me it was to get some healing, and I thought to myself, well, I'm not the one who wounded you. I'm not the one that you had aught against. I'm not sure how I can help the healing process when I'm not the one, back on the topic, to blame for the hurt. So I ended up feeling like after that, I was like, I wasn't sure what the purpose was. And there was so much hate and shade being thrown on me due to me just speaking my truth about what it was like to work there that I didn't know how it was going to be a beneficial conversation. Do you know what I mean? I'm all for people. Eli, what'd you do, sweetheart? Okay, I'm all for people like sharing their side of the story, speaking their truth, how they feel, what happened, all that. But then I was like, how am I even involved in that particular situation, and how is this going to help? And then, like I said, people were saying me that she was saying certain things about me, and it just kind of hurt my heart a little. And I was like, Eli, shh, sweetheart. I just didn't know how it was going to be a helpful, productive conversation, and then I just kind of lost my desire to do it. I don't know. So it wasn't that I was running from it or afraid of it. It's just that it kept getting changed and changed. Time kept getting changed, and then I thought to myself, I prayed about it a lot, and I just felt like maybe it was meant to be that we didn't speak, the fact that the time kept getting changed, and I don't know, I haven't felt compelled to have that conversation now, because I'm not even sure how I'm even involved or to blame in her feelings against Dhar. You know what I mean? I just don't know what it has to do with me at this point. Hey, sweetheart, that's enough. Go in the living room or go hang out with your brother. Okay, that's enough. Mommy's on. Okay, so I don't know. Does that make sense? Do you understand where I'm coming from there? And a lot of what was being put out or portrayed by the other side rubbed me wrong. Not that you can't have any bad feelings or anything like I didn't like this situation, or I don't like how this is going, or I wish these contracts were better. It wasn't about that. It was here. Ephesians 4:31 and 32 says, "Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and slander be put away from you, along with all malice. Be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, as Christ forgave you." And I think it's okay to have something against someone and to, to want to have things different. But when you couple that with the bitterness and the wrath and the anger and the clamor and the slander and malice, and it's just, I can't, that's not my vibe. And there was early on when they wanted to talk to Dhar about the situation, and I spoke with Chaz and I spoke with Colin, and I was like, I see where you're coming from. I see some of your points are valid. I see you,
Okay, open this.
You made popcorn for breakfast?
Bunny white.
Okay, see, when Dad's not here and I'm busy, you're gonna just, I guess there's worse breakfasts you could have. Okay, thank you. Shut the door. Thank you. Does that make sense, you guys? It's not that I was against the topic, the some of the points that they had or whatever. It's how it was gone about, how they went about it. And I hope I'm not, I don't know. Yeah, everyone's going to form their own opinion. The thing is, I love what it says in 1 Corinthians, and you guys have probably heard this at many weddings. If I speak in the tongue of angels but have not love, I'm a noisy, clanging cymbal. No matter how eloquent I sound, no matter how many right points I have, if I'm not coming from a place of love, then I'm a clanging cymbal. If I have all these prophetic powers and I understand all the mysteries and the knowledge, and I'm so brilliant, and I have all this faith to move mountains, but I don't have love for someone, then I am nothing. Yeah, I could be the most generous person in the world. I could give away all that I have, even sacrifice my body to be burned for someone. But if I don't have love, I gain nothing. Because love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not boast. Love is not arrogant or rude. Love does not insist on its own way. It's not irritable or resentful. And the spirit inside me, the spirit of love, even if I agreed with some points that some of the people had, I could not get on board the venom that seemed to be coming from it. Right? Aston said love is perfect. Yeah. Harrison says if you don't have love, you can't appreciate anything. Yeah. And I have done my best to not say anything against anyone, even though I know negative things are being said about me. And I try to take the high road. Now, I have a video also on my YouTube channel that I put out 4 or 5 years ago called What to Do When Someone lies about you, when someone slanders you, when they're falsely accusing you of certain things. And there's been a lot of that going on lately. And I think that's really made it hard for the fans who love the show and who love the actors. Because when you are mixing some truths with some slander, with some fallacies, with some lies, and you're passionate about it, it's sometimes hard to disseminate what's the truth from what has been really blown out of proportion and taken out of context. Does that make sense? Maria, yes, I do like working with Dhar Mann. I do. It's a great place to work. It really is. Rebecca says, curious, since you're a life coach, do you learn things from your own clients ever? Do you find you get teachings from them? I think we have to be students always. We have to learn from every place. Now, I have two coaches. I have a life coach and a business coach. But I think you can learn from anywhere. I mean, I learn from my kids all the time. 5-Star Language says there's only one truth and it belongs to God. Jack says people are still slandering Katherine. Yeah, I've been hearing that. I've purposely not gone and looked for it and hunted it down. People are telling me, so I understand it's happening. And then, but what are you going to do about it? I'm certainly not going to go looking for it. I think enough negative comments come my way just from standing up for what I believe is right, that I don't need to go looking for more of it, right? So, yeah. Via says, have you heard of the idiom, the straw that broke the camel's back? How do you think it relates to the protest situation? I have heard that idiom. That would be probably a question better served for the people who are unhappy, because I'm not unhappy. Not saying there hasn't been one or two straws along the way, but my back is strong. And the straws are so light, it hasn't been that situation for me, so I can't speak for how it relates to the protesters because I'm not in their mind and I haven't had their experiences, And I choose to focus on the positive. If for me, if I am working somewhere and I don't feel, and this has happened at several places I've worked, if I don't feel I'm being valued or respected or treated well or paid enough, I put in my 2 weeks notice and I go find somewhere else to work. That's just what I've done. I've never thought it fair for me, and this is the topic today, to blame someone else for where I'm at in life. That's just not how I roll. Okay, let me check your comments. Nicholas says, Giovanna originally went for the protest, but her changed her view. Well, she didn't go for the protest. She was in agreement with some of the points that they had. Some of the things that they said should be better. She thought, yeah, some of these things could be better. But it's not that she changed her mind from like, yeah, let's go get them, to, oh no, I'm not going to go get them. It was, she didn't want to go get them to begin with. She just thought some things could be better. And I'm sure she's explained this beautifully in her videos on her channel. So, and I can't really speak for her, but it's like I said, she didn't like for me, didn't like the heart behind how they were going about getting the things that they wanted. So, it's like the book of Proverbs says, a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. The tongue of the wise commands knowledge, but the mouth of fools pours out folly. The eyes of the Lord are every place, keeping watch on the good and the evil. And so we don't need to go on a witch hunt to bring somebody down. They'll bring themselves down. They'll bring themselves down because what we reap, we sow. Right? So that's what I think about it. And we get that from book of Galatians chapter 6. Don't be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, that he will reap. Whoever sows to the flesh will reap from the flesh. He'll reap corruption. But the one who sows to the Spirit, he'll gain eternal life. So how do you do that? How do you operate in a way where if you have something against someone, let's see, VS says, do you still like Riki? I do. I still like all of the protesters. I have many people in my life who I remain friends with, who I don't always agree with. But just because I don't agree with them doesn't mean I can't be their friend. Now, I don't know if they feel the same about me. I can't change how they feel. Rebecca says, some people feel you have narcissistic traits, like you are better than everyone else. But that's the thing. I can't control what other people think. I can't stop what they think. And here's the thing we have to keep in mind. Just because someone thinks something about you, and you guys remember this, if someone thinks something about you, if they believe it about you, if they say it about you, it doesn't make it true. Because people don't see things. People don't see you. My coach was saying this to me last week. People don't see you the way you are. They see you the way they are. A lot of times the way we are, it's like holding up a mirror. We're holding up a mirror to someone and they see traits of themselves that they don't like. So for instance, let me give you a good example of we don't see people the way they are. We see them the way we are. I'll give you a good example. When I was growing up, some of you guys who've been on my live stream know, I didn't always have the best relationship with my brother. He was pretty mean to me growing up, which I'll talk about more in my memoir. And he would sometimes steal things from me. He would steal from me, and like he would steal my earrings and give them to his girlfriends as presents, or he would he would steal my money, he would do whatever. And so whenever he lost something, he'd come at me. Where's my blah? You stole my blah, blah, blah. You stole it. And I was like, no, I didn't. People will accuse you of what they do and what they are. Just like if there's a spouse cheating on their spouse, and then you come home a little later, maybe you gave someone a hug at work and you got the smell of them, you'll come home and they'll be like, you were cheating on me, and you were like, no, I wasn't. That's kind of, projecting. People are projecting onto you what they are. They're seeing that in a mirror. They're seeing things. So when you act in a certain way, they will assume you're this, you're that, you're cheating, you're stealing, you're narcissistic, you're whatever it is, but that doesn't make it true. A lot of times it's a mirror being held up to them for what they are. Now, I don't know who's calling me narcissistic, and frankly, I don't care, because anyone who knows me knows that's like the farthest from the truth. As a matter of fact, I have a book coming out in April or May, depending on how fast I get it out, and a whole online course called You Are Worthy. Because I came from such a place of self-hate and self-loathing that to the point where I could not even look in the mirror without crying. I thought I was so ugly and disgusting, and I frankly didn't see any good traits in myself. And frankly, I'm kind of the opposite of a narcissist. It took me a long time to even get to the point where I could be okay with who I was and who God made me to be. And I am not the type of person that boasts about my good traits, and people will tell you it's kind of the opposite. They'll be like, why don't you ever share the good stuff about yourself? Jarrell says, yeah, others only see their own reflections of themselves when they look at you. Exactly. Yes, I finally did get to meet Allison. You guys have been wondering. Yes, I finally got to meet her. We finally got to work on a project together this week, as a matter of fact, and I love her. We're like twinsies. We became fast friends. She's also an author and a life coach and a speaker, and we just had the best conversation this week. Yeah, I love it. So what questions do you guys have for me? I said what I wanted to say on the topic of blame. I hope that was helpful for your life when you get in situations where you want to blame others. Remember that quote by Maya Angelou, if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. But I can answer your questions for a couple more minutes. How was it like working with Caden? Good. It was good. Gregory says, can you interview Azim or Marciela? I don't know if I know who Marciela is. Have I met her yet? Via says, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I think I said that. I said that quote in the video I was referencing from 5 years ago, called Who Do You Blame for Your Lack of Success? Brittany says, Brittany has known me for a while. She says, I can claim you are not a narcissist. Neither am I. Yeah, but sometimes people will say that if, for whatever reason, doesn't make it the truth. I don't know if I've met her yet, so I'm sorry. I don't know. Somebody was asking about my eye color. As far as I know, I was born this way. I have no recollection of looking in the mirror when I was a baby to see if it was true, but I remember, I think I was about 3 years old the first time I realized I had 2 different colored eyes because I was getting made fun of at the playground.
Timothy has popcorn. Now I have popcorn.
Okay, you go ask him for help. I came home crying when I was 3 years old because kids were making fun of me at the playground for having 2 different colored eyes. And so I don't know, I came home crying and my daddy told me that I had angel eyes. Debbie says, is the Dhar Mann protest still happening? I don't know. I'm not outside the building, not outside there. I still see some unfavorable things being posted online, so it seems to have died down a little bit. It went from, being in front of the building in the streets to doing it online and getting the news involved and all of this other stuff. Derek's known me for a few years. He says, you're definitely not a narcissist. VS asks, do you remember the episode where you badmouthed a girl at the gym? Yeah, wasn't that from like 4 years ago? That was me and Maggie and Riki. I believe in that. Enjoy your racquetball, Brittany. I think that's the episode you're referring to. Andrew says, how do you humanize any character you are playing? That is the total opposite of your true self. That's, when you're a new actor and sometimes you're playing a really bad or really mean role, it's easy to kind of make it like a cartoon, like to really overdo it, to make them like a villain. But you have to remember that even bad characters and even people in real life, even the worst of the worst person still has good traits. And that's how I can be friends with some people that others might think, oh, they're awful. Or they're not. When you are looking for the good traits in people, you will find the good traits. When you're looking for the negative in people or situations, you will find the negative traits. But there's always something good in everybody. And I try to focus on the good. Terrence says, I'm the biggest fan of yours. I don't know, you might have to arm wrestle some people for that title. Blake, are you referring, when you say, have I made amends with him, are you referring to my brother? If so, yes. Beyond yes. You'll hear that story. You will hear that story in the memoir I'm writing, where I will talk about how and why I named my son after my brother. Jennifer, thank you for the gift. Are you ever interested in having your books into audiobooks? And if you are, it would be an honor to do that. I've been thinking about it. I've got a lot of requests to turn my books into audiobooks. I've tried myself a few times, but I couldn't figure out the technical part of recording it properly, so that that the audio levels are correct for. There's like guidelines, ACX, where you have to upload your book to make sure it passes Audible to be able to put it on. Yeah, Jack, they're not on Apple Books. I don't know. I've never looked into all these places. I only put it on Amazon because that was the easiest thing to do. But I know if I put them on Ingram Sparks, or if I click expanded distribution, then I should be able to get my books in libraries and bookstores and all that kind of stuff. Honestly, I haven't had the time, or correction, I haven't made the time. It hasn't been priority because other things have been priority. Other things have been priority to me. So I do have it on my goal poster for this year to record my audiobook. Now, but now I have 4 books out, so I'll pick one. I'll pick one of them. Probably the You Are Worthy book that's coming out. Blake says, can you try to chat with Mair and reconcile with her? I'm not sure what you mean by reconcile with her. I don't have anything against her, so I don't know what there is to reconcile. I don't think I've ever spoken against her. I mean, she's got her opinion. I mean, I've heard she said some not nice things about me, but it's okay. You know, people speak out of their frustration. People speak out of their hurt. You know, I've not always said things I'm happy I said, or I'm proud of that I said in the heat of the moment, or while in anger. So, you know, I'm not gonna hold it against her. I mean, some of the things were a little hurtful, but I had to, like, you know, I had to try to see things from her perspective and understand where she was coming from. And I can't fault her or blame her for her feelings, or for, you know, if she felt like she had to say whatever she said about me. That's on her. Really, I don't have anything against any of the protesters, even if they've said nasty things about me. It's just, it is what it is. People have got a lot of feelings around this. And Kit said, do you blame yourself? I have blamed myself in the past many times for many things, and I'm trying to not do that anymore. You know? Amos Sand said, did Dhar Mann use you? No. You can't be used unless you allow yourself to be used, and especially in this context. No, because I knew what I was getting into, because I knew what we all know what the contract says before we sign on to do it. So it was not a shock or a surprise to me how things worked. So no, I can't say that I was. Thana Doc says, how long have you been acting at Dhar Mann Studios? This year will be my 5th year. Yeah. And Kit said, do you miss Nick on Dhar Mann? You know, Nick is a friend of mine, and we still communicate, and we still see each other. So, I mean, he's a good actor. Thank you, Jennifer, for the hugs and love. Afam says, what about Kato? Kato's fun. Kato's a big ball of energy. He still works there. He had a video come out this week, I think. Yeah. Well, guys, was this helpful? Is there something that you learned today on the topic of blame that you're going to put into practice in your real life? I'm doing the best to do that as much as I can. Marianne's asking for prayers for her kitty. You guys, let's all pray for her kitty. And I will see you guys next week, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Live true, love hard, shine bright.